Welcome back to another episode of How Did They Grow? I created this podcast because I wanted you to learn how other coaches, freelancers, service providers, and course sellers are growing their business, landing 10 to 20 new clients every single month, paying them 50, 100, 200K months. See, if they've done it, you can too. And that's just the reality. And I want you to listen to these podcasts to understand what strategies are they using, what techniques are they exploring, because it's in these gems that you can apply it to your business and actually scale things up. When you're ready and you feel like you actually want to learn practical, proven methodologies, or even you want to hire a team that can build you a profitable personal brand, book in a chat with our team because we can guarantee you go viral and guarantee you get clients for your business.
Welcome to the show. We have Bina Bendel, and she is the #1 nurse coach. Tell us a bit about yourself, Bina.
So hi, thank you for allowing me to be here. So my name is Bina Bendel, and I am a board certified nurse coach. No, I don't just coach nurses. We are what we call a life coach with a whole lot of medical background, and we use a really clean, holistic approach to lifestyle medicine and or just how to integrate holistic approaches into life. I've been a board certified nurse coach now for 3 years. I was a retired nurse, or I am a retired nurse from the ER for the past 18 years. And now I'm fully into the coaching business.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So tell us how that transition came about from nursing into coaching. What motivated it?
My children. So what me? Well, I knew that when I was at bedside, I knew there was always something's missing. And I was always looking for a global impact on certain ways. And I just wasn't sure what it was. And after my first son was born, he is medically fragile and he is on the autistic spectrum. He was not diagnosed until he was probably about like 2.5, 3, 2, maybe a little less than a year. Less than 2 years old. And we had a lot of struggles when he was born. And one of them was like, I was called as the nurse that called in sick all the time, or I comes in and a lot of people would give me, excuse my language, a lot of people would give me a lot of shit. I called in sick because they're like, oh, there she is sick again, or here she comes in. And it started really turning into this really negative work environment for me. And they didn't realize that my son was in and out of the ICU. So I think when one of the charge nurses realized, she was like, Bina, is your son in the ICU? And I said, yes, he is. And they were like, well, what are you doing here? I said, because some nurses are being mean, right? And they're telling management that I call in sick all the time, or my brain's not here, or X, Y, and Z. And you guys have done it so bad where now HR is giving me a hard time, all these things. So now I'm nervous to even call in sick. And I have to have my sick child, because if I don't, then my benefits goes away. All these different things come involved. And it's like, it's because of the culture, honestly, on why I'm unable to be upstairs with my child. And yet I'm here doing what I love and what my passion is, to helping other people, but not in a healthy way. And I'm not able to show up the way I'm normally supposed to show up. So was very thankful that my team, or my leadership team, I call it the unicorn team back then, they gifted me 6 months worth of insurance, and I was able to get an additional time off. So I am able to go be with my child and be able to support, at least medically support my child at that time. And then financially, I was just like, I'll figure it out. As long as I don't have to pay for medical, I'll figure the rest out, you know? And that's really where my journey lied, is that a lot of employee assistant programs back then, I'm talking 10 years ago, things have changed obviously in today's time. They weren't able to help me. They weren't able to help me with a child with a disability. They weren't able to understand the conditions that he was facing. And I really did feel all alone. And it was around then, and several months leading up to that, or after that, is when I really sat there and I was just like, you know what? There has to be a better way. There has to be a place for people in my family situation, families with disabilities, families with autism. And 10 years ago, as a nurse, I did not even understand it, right? And there has to have been a place. So now I've created a place where people are able to feel loved, heard, and supported. And that's really the whole drive, is because I didn't feel loved, heard, and supported 10 years ago. So I made my own company for employers to feel loved, heard, and supported in any type of transitions that they're doing, and with any type of medical condition, and or if a child has a disability, to feel heard in that moment in space.
I think that's amazing, and it's amazing. It's an amazing. It also has an amazing backstory as well. It's almost like, you know what they say. They say heroes and villains have the same background. It's what they choose to do with it, and I think you chose to do good with your background. I think that's amazing. Did you always see yourself as a coach, or is it something that you kind of developed growing up?
It developed. I didn't even know what a coach was. I didn't know what a life coach was. I didn't know what any of this was. What I did know is I knew how to make people feel better in their most vulnerable time. In an ER background, having people come in when we see tragic deaths, different situations. And I just found myself in situations where even my colleagues would be like, put Bina in the room to help with the family, because she'd be able to help navigate that. And I think that's kind of when I started really truly going like, wow, there's something's here. This is what comes in. And maybe like 10, maybe 8 years ago now, we started bringing in families when there's resuscitations going on that wasn't previously done before. And then clinical studies have shown like, no, families need to see what the medical staff is doing. I would be the nurse that they would place on it, saying, Bina, can you talk to the family? Can you explain to them what is going on? And I didn't know that, but that's really where my coaching skills have developed, right? Pre-emphasizing them, like, this is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to hear. This is how it's going to come up. And then emotionally, when they're unregulated, I was able to help them regulate their nervous system at the same time, you know? And whether it's by a gesture of a big hug, or we let them cry when they need to cry, whatever it is that they needed to do, vent, cry, scream. I told them, do it when you're there. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? And don't worry about what other people think. Like, release the stigma behind it. Release it, you know? And so I can't scream here. I said, then let's go outside and scream, you know? And I think that's really where it shaped my coaching. And that's, to answer to your question, was I always been this? No. It just developed over time, and doing an unorthodox way or untraditional way, it really did help the patients and the family members. And I also adapted that into my coaching practice as well. And it's very just, you do what you need to do and let's just get it done, you know? And so that's where, to answer your question, that's how that came out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let's transition a little bit into the business. What are how, obviously business is never smooth sailing. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced building this business?
People that are not in integrity.
That's a nice way to put it.
You know, people that say who they are and they say all this fun, loving stuff. And then in reality, they're a snake. All they want is greed, money, power. They're not in integrity, and they're very quick to sue, or they're very quick to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to call it as it is. That's all bullshit. That's the biggest thing I've learned.
Yeah. And it's always, it's always the people who are close to you in a way.
Yes, it is.
Being close.
Yeah, it's like usually a friend or a person or somebody that's like you have an idea and you bounce it off of, and they're like, oh my God, this is such a great idea. Let's do this together. Or how can I be involved, or how can I support? And now I'm like, I don't trust you. Like, no. And I understand now why some people, they're like, oh, just spill your beans, like do this, give people your secrets. I'm all for that, you know? And I'm also not going to partner with somebody ever again, you know?
At the same time.
Yeah, never, ever. No. And if I do, it'd be like in a fashionable way. And what I mean by that, meaning like I put a call to action out. I interview highly. I interview 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people. I'm not going to just give a job to somebody just because I feel that they're the best fit for it. I want to create a job description and fill the person with the correct job. You know, I think a lot of times people do the opposite.
I don't want to, it sounds like it's a little bit like deep. I don't want to go into it, but maybe like we can go into it.
You can do whatever you want. You ask me a question. I will answer as best as I can to the most high standards if I could. How's that?
That's perfect. What I wanted to say is like, how can like, obviously you said like partnering is something you wouldn't do, but like to the audience hearing that, they would want to know like, what are the things to look out for? What are the things you saw? Maybe you saw something and you pushed it off because, hey, this person is close to me. Maybe break it down a bit.
Yes, that is the big thing. Follow your intuition. So one thing is when people say they're going to do something, it has to come from a high level of commitment. And so like for me and you last week, I had to reschedule. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I was in my pajamas. Okay. Like I was straight up in my pajamas. And I was like, I'm not in high integrity right now in my own self. And I can commit to you, give you this hour again next week. And we both showed up, technical glitches and all. We both showed up and we're going through it. Right?
Yeah.
Now, most people would have been like, you know what? My internet is down today. I'm having glitches once, twice, however many times it is. Can we just reschedule? Those are excuses in my head. That's an excuse to me because you can do it once, and if there's a whole different things and your internet goes down, you email like, dude, my internet's down. Yeah, that makes sense. But you've tried, you showed up, right? That's the high integrity that I'm talking about. Now, say in the reverse role, my children are going to be home in about 30 minutes. I was honest with you about that moving forward. Like I was very honest with you, like, let's get going, let's record. Otherwise, we're going to have a child, if not all three, on this podcast later, right? And I think that's also an integrity, letting people know ahead of time that this is going to occur. Now, a red flag would be these excuses or people just moving things around for their own benefit, one. Two, not being clear with what is going to occur in their life, and there's no clear agreements that are made. Now, if I made an agreement with somebody and said, hey, we're going to work together, right? These are our clients. And then somehow, some way, a partner or a person or an employer, a 1099, whatever you guys want to call that, right? Goes behind your clients and said, hey, I can do this for a lesser price out of integrity. You know? So it's really going back if it's not in your network. So Mike, you're a great example. I go into your network and me and you are at an event together and I am a guest into your network and say something like, Bina, I really want to work with you. You really clash. I'm going to have a conversation with you first. You know, Mike, John Smith said he wanted to work with me because this is your people. This is your space. Okay. I'm going to go back to John Smith and say, you know what? I really appreciate that. That really means the world to me. Let me have a conversation with Mike. Make sure you don't have a back end deal, or make sure there's nothing else going on in between the two of you in collaboration. Right? Before I just say yes to somebody and now you're going to feel like I just stole your client. In reality, I would if I wasn't honest with you.
Yes.
That's what I mean by high integrity. And when you're in partnerships or when you are in a 1099 or when you're an employer, you have to have that same level of communication, that same level of, let me just run this by this person and make sure our feelings are not out of alignment, right? I was in a community space a couple of weeks ago, And it was another person's community space. And this happened to me where this one lady was just like, I really want to work with you. I said, let me double check with the host. Spoke with the host. The host was like, yeah, you know what? If she wanted to work with me, more than welcome to. All I ask is for a referral fee. I said, done. That's easy. I could have not said anything, but then that person who's hosting the event would never talk to me again.
Yeah.
Right? So I think when we talk about a level of integrity, it's knowing that there is 1 billion people on this planet. And if we're in the room full of people, and if I'm coming as a guest to another community, to remind ourselves that we are a guest in that community.
Yeah.
And the minute you go in there to fish, then you are the shark, and you are going in for that. That is greed. That is not integrity. And you're literally, I'm just going to put it as it is, like, that's fucked up shit. Like,
Yeah.
and then you're going to have that negative notation energy follow you.
Yeah.
2 things are going to happen. You'll become very successful very quickly, no questions. But when it matters the most, and when it matters when you need referrals or you need whatever, 10 years later, these people are not going to forget what you've done 10 years ago.
Mm.
They're not going to show up for you in a ways that you're not going to feel like it. And then you're going to be like, wow, I'm really alone. And yeah, because you've done some shady shit in your past. Why would you not be? You know, like, that's what I'm saying. So when we go into partnerships, and I won't do it again. I won't do it again because of that. Because people say one thing and then they do something else. You know, mind if I read a quote from Maya Angelou? That's one of my favorite quotes.
Sure. Go ahead, Vina.
People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Wow.
One of my favorite quotes of all times. Because if you go from that high level of compassion, money, joy, sex, everything you love will come to you in an abundance. Abundance, right? But the minute we start looking as money as an aspirator or as a connector or as a thing, then you're attracting the wrong energy. And that's when deals go bad. That's when lawsuits occur. That's when misconceptions occur. That's when the he said, she said happens. You know, well, you told me this, and this is what I come to.
Yeah.
Right? All that starts building because of how you felt and because of the notation of you saw money, but you didn't see it first.
And it's always the money, isn't it?
Always the money. It's always the money. Everyone says this, you know, oh, it's money. Money creates greed, power, and infidelity. There is no questions, you know, but that's why if we take off money as an aspect, right, and we go in with the compassion statement, or we go in with compassion or empathy or global awareness, then money will automatically follow.
Definitely. I have two things to say. Number one is I fully agree with you, and it doesn't even stop at business, you know. It's in life in general. These kind of people are everywhere.
Yep.
And I think they deserve whatever comes to them, man. They deserve whatever comes to them.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast. I hope you're taking notes. I hope you're learning so much practical wisdom, because that's what I really wanted from this podcast. Now, I just want to quickly say, if you're looking for a team that can actually help you explode and go viral with your personal brand with proven methodologies, I say this because I've been doing this for the past 5 years. We've got a team of 30 people who are ready to go ahead and explode your brand so you can get clients begging to work with you. Have a chat with one of our advisors. You can book in a chat using one of the links around this video, because that chat might just change your life.
The second thing I will say, though, is because this is something that I say to a lot of people, is let me just ask, instead of telling you straight up, let me ask you a couple questions. You're married, right? Let me put you on the spot. You're married, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Before you got married, you ever been in some shitty relationships?
Yes.
You ever been, you know, played around with and, you know, put hurt and someone made you feel really bad?
Yes.
So the question is, did you let those shitty, relationships stop you from finding the love of your life, which is your husband?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So in my mind, I'm not trying to change your mind. What I'm saying is like, you said, and it comes from a place of hurt, and I can understand it. And I'm not even trying to be a therapist here. I just want to see what you think.
I love it. Yeah.
I just want to see what you think in terms of like, you've been hurt by this person before in business, right? But are you gonna let that shitty girlfriend or that shitty boyfriend stop you from finding the love of your life, which could be your, dream business partner?
Nope.
So that's the question, really.
No, I would go in with open-mindedness, and I would go in with more blinders. And what I mean by that is when you did the analogy of the relationships, right?
Yeah.
I knew what worked and what didn't work to get to the partner of the love of my life now.
Yeah.
I knew right away there was a thing. If certain things came up or it started like lying and this or that, I was out. Like, I'm out, right away. Because I already knew that is going to go to a negative notation into a relationship, right? So same thing with business is that I've had, negative business partners or a partner. I just want to say that just politically correct in the world, in the business world, right? No. Will I stop myself in that? No. But what I will do is be very cautious and very grounded and make sure my communication is 10 times more clear. Make sure the agreements are more aligned. Make sure that maybe this next round, they're just a 1099 employer versus being embedded into my company. Like, no one has equity in my company, but you know what I mean? Like, the only person that has equity in my company is my husband. So it's like those types of stuff that comes through. But the answer to your question is no, I won't let it stop me. It's just like putting on glasses.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be more clear. Like, if I take my glasses off, I'm a little foggy, Yeah. But the minute I put my glasses on, it's clear. I can see right through. I'm gonna say this very loud. Thank you. Thank you. I can see right through bullshit now. Just like relationships in the past, if we're doing it towards relationships, like, you can smell bullshit with relationships quickly, right? So use that same natural instinct in business. Don't let anything stop you. Don't ever let anything stop. Don't let any person stop you, and don't let anything stop you to achieving your goals. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is be smart about it, be gentle about it, and be smooth about it in ways where it's clean. So when people put on their glasses, there is no red tape anywhere. There's no red tape anywhere. They can't go. Like, do it the right legal way, So that way they can back and shake it up.
I think the glasses analogy is perfect. It's perfect. Like, you can see right through the BS. Like, yes, you're not gonna let that shitty relationship stop you from finding the love of your life. But you're at the same time, that doesn't mean you're gonna mess with every person who comes your way and say, hey, you might be the love of my life. No, I got these glasses on. I can see. I know I know the patterns now. You know what I mean? I think that's an amazing way to look at it.
Yeah.
So I think we can sort of transition into like social media. How has social media helped you get your message out and helped you? Or before we get into that, I think let's clarify for the people a bit. I was a little bit stuck on this. Who do you coach? Do you coach nurses? I know you said it in the beginning, but who do you coach?
So there's 2 parts to my business.
Okay.
There's actually 3 parts to my business, actually. And me and you spoke about this, I think last week. So the first part is I am the first nurse coach going into corporate wellness. So I am on holistic and employee assistant program is the best way to explain it. I help with the silent struggles that employers are facing, any type of silent struggle that's happening at home. And I help them go through those transitions in a very healthy, holistic way. So they're able to show up to work more loved, heard, and supported, and they don't have to take away FMLA or paid family leave or They didn't have to be in the same situation that I needed to be in 10 years ago, is what I try to alleviate. 2, I help other nurse coaches teach them on B2B sales. Getting them clear with their offer, getting them clear with what is it that they want to structure and how are they going to sell that part into corporations. Because I think there's a lot of money that can be made in the corporate world, and not everyone will be embedded. Like my services are embedded into 3 or 4 or 5 different companies, right? But teaching other nurse coaches or any coach, how do you do lunch and learns? How do you get into other practices and come in? So you're doing a more global cause for a shorter amount of time. Because that's what I tell people. When you're doing a global cause in a shorter amount of time, you're making more impact actually, and you're having a better, like, you know what we're talking about. You're making more impact in a shorter time. The third one is I help parents with special needs. And all these tie together because I'm a big advocate into the special needs world. I just released a TEDx talk last year on sensory supported bathrooms and how normal, typical people go to the restroom and how it's you just go piss and shit and you leave, you know, like there's no other end. You move on with your everyday life. Whereas parents, for me, it can take 20, 30, 40 minutes away from our day each time we take a child to the bathroom. So that's really where I coach around, is really teaching somebody that global impact. And in corporations, how do you feel loved, heard, and supported at home so you can go to come to work more efficiently? And that helps the companies as well, because then you're not, the companies and the HR directors are not having to fill temporary positions. They're not having to let go of people. They don't comes in, people are retained more because they feel valued. They feel like their company cares for them, and they feel like they want to stay because they want to stay. Or they're having meaningful conversations with their colleagues because they realize that they're all in the same boat. I asked you this last time, remember? Like, do you have a silent struggle that you don't want to talk about? And you answered yes. You know? And so it's like, okay, everyone has that. And that's why with my company, with the Silent Struggle Solutions, it really ties into that with, okay, well, let's make that, normalize that. What is so scared that you can't say something about? And, or if it is like certain things, like how do we process that so you are able to show up 10 times more in this area where you want to make a global impact, whether that's at work, family, the world, wherever you are. Because the more you are yourself, your true authentic self, and the way you heal, the more people are attracted to you.
Yeah. And you said something in the beginning about like handling, all the stuff that goes on. And I want to, sort of flip it back on you and say, how do you handle all that? How do you handle your business, being a mom, being a wife, being, having kids with special needs? How do you, what is, sort of your process? What do you lean on?
Gratitude. Gratitude. I am thankful every morning, and I have a gratitude journal that I wake up to. And this is literally the journal I've created. I give this to people. If anybody wants it, message me. I can hand it to you. If anybody you can give it away as a free gift, right? And it really starts from gratitude. What are you grateful for? Because I think what happens is people go and I want this and I want that and I need this and Bob shoulda, woulda, couldas, right? And the shoulda, woulda, couldas are the ones that are going to kill you. They are.
Yeah.
Because then the shoulda, woulda, couldas then start going into regret. They start going into decision fatigue. They start going into this negative notation, right? And then the greed really starts kicking in. Where if we wake up with gratitude, I'm thankful for my kids. I'm thankful for my husband. I'm thankful for the position that I'm in. I don't find this a negative notation whatsoever. They're my blessings. I wouldn't be where I'm at if my children did not exist.
Yeah, I think that's a great way. That's a great thing to lean on, is gratitude. A lot of people, another thing that can help a lot of people is like systems as well. Do you maybe have a system in place that helps you get through your day?
We do. And the number one thing is, even with 3 parts to my business, something I coach on, something that's in my business school that I teach other B2B sales on, is put
Yeah.
down non-negotiables in your calendar first. If you put yourself down first, everything works around it. If they don't have time, guess what? It can wait. It is not urgent. Because if it is urgent, it would have came on your calendar.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It's a great way to look at it.
And that's the biggest system, is put you first. So put movement in. That's why here in the United States, right, we have 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch by law, technically, more or less. But what do you do on those 15-minute breaks? Are you scrolling through social media? Or are you going outside, leaving your phone, computer at your desk, right? And going outside and doing a free grounding session with the sun that's free, and going for a free walk, right? And making out, releasing those cortisol, releasing those energies, releasing everything out, getting a good chunk of, I have a thing of water that's next to me at all times. Can we refill it? Right? And I think when people have that 15 minutes, they're like scrolling right away, or they can't leave their cell phones anywhere. They're like, well, what happens if someone's going to call? I'm like, you're in your office. They will find you.
Yeah.
They will find you. If they see your phone and your computer on your desk off or on, whatever, they know you're not far, or they'll wait the 15 minutes for you to come back. But I promise you, if something was to be urgent, somebody will find you.
So it's not a matter of I need to take my phone everywhere. Like, it's never that deep. It's 15 minutes,
How many people take their phones to the bathroom nowadays? I'm just saying. You can't even piss or shit without your phone.
Yeah. That's crazy.
A natural elimination. And people cannot leave their phones outside. So that's where the mindset comes in, right? If you can't even take the time for yourself to do a proper elimination or comes in, then what makes you think you're going to put yourself first? You're not. And no offense to you whatsoever, but you're not.
Yeah.
You've already woken up with the mindset that I'm putting myself second, everyone else comes first. You're going to burn out. You've burnt out. You've already made yourself a second priority. Now, in these relationships and all these things, now I'm going to be a little political here. When people are like, man, I wish that person left that guy. He's such an asshole. Or this person should have did this. Or this person could have done that. Those are all perspectives of life, right? What they could have, should have done to do. Now you're telling somebody what they need to do, yet you don't put yourself first. You're a hypocrite. If you're telling me you can't take 10 minutes out of the day for your own self, please don't talk about other people.
That's a new perspective. That's a way to look at things. Never really thought about it that way,
If you can't practice what you preach in your own world, and this is why I practice what I preach in my world. My children come first. Every single person knows that, like I told you earlier, you might have a child on my call. Like, this might come in. They're home. We say hi. The whole world, right? But if I don't put myself first in the mornings or in the things, 20 minutes, whatever it is, then how am I supposed to teach somebody else that? I can't. If I'm not going out there doing groundwork myself, if I'm not going out there, and I even have my own sound bowl here, like, you guys can see it, and practice meditation every morning. I have a kneeling chair where I come in every morning and I do a little sound healing. Even my kids now, when the frequency is so high in my house, I literally come, I bring my bowl down. I have a couple of other ones downstairs. I bring them out into the living room. And all I do is I start doing sound bowl healing. All 3 of my kids' energies drops down and they come sit right next to me.
Wow.
Because you have to understand the frequencies of life. If your high level is so high and you're not matching it here, then there's no way. A lot of people ask me, they go, how is it that you can be very super successful? That's always a question. in a very short period of time. I've been doing this for only 3 years. 3 years. It's because I live off the frequencies of myself first. That's not selfish. I take a bath.
Yeah.
People know. My husband knows. My kids know. Don't bug me when I'm in the shower. That's mommy time.
Mommy time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And it's funny because I put aromatherapy. I put the music, soft music down. The lights are dimmed. The blue light or red light, whatever I have that comes in to help with the reduction of the noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
The point where now when mom, I'm just going to sit in the bathroom and I'm just going to read a book.
The kids?
Yeah, the kids. I mean, they don't see me. We block it where
No,
they can't.
no. Obviously, yeah.
Do that, we're on the other side. And it's because, you know why? It's calming.
It's an energy.
Because it's a shift in energy.
Mm.
And they now practice that where they're just like, they're like, a lot of people like play, and there's days where I play blast loud music depending on what I want, right? But it's still that shift in energy where how can I release it and how do you captivate it? But how do you also captivate that in a community level? But if you're not practicing what you preach, you are out of integrity.
I think you have a very, strong and deeply rooted message that you want to share with the world. How are you, leveraging social media in terms of getting that message out there?
I be myself. There is no behind the scenes. Like if you saw, I messed up. Like the other day, I did one of my mentors did a book launch called the book launch, a unicorn team, and same thing. My internet went down. My kids started screaming. Like I didn't make an excuse. I was like, "Yep, we're live. This is it. Sorry about that."
This is being it.
And we just turned it into like a little reel. And me and my team were like, "Yep, let's utilize it." And I think that's like the most important part with social media is, I'm going to say this lovingly, and I'm probably going to take some criticism behind this. Don't fake your fucking shit. If you're having a bad day, have the fucking bad day. If you're going up and you don't have the Lamborghini, don't post by a Lamborghini. If you have a Volvo and you're proud of it, be proud of what you got.
Oh, you're fucking Volvo, man.
Like stop being fake on social media, and then in reality, you got nothing. You act like a millionaire, and then you got $2 in your account. Like, I think that's it. Like, quit through the bullshit. Quit through those BS. Be who you are, and just be who you are, the rawness of you. The other day, I had the same shirt on for a week, and someone's like, "Did you change?" I said, "Nope, I haven't showered." No, and I haven't showered, so this is me. Because I work from home, and I was just like, well, it's either that or I, create more laundry. And I had 10 loads of laundry for my kids. I just didn't want to add one more to myself.
Yeah. I think that's amazing.
And that's like the message I put on social media. And that's how I cover it. That's how the rawness behind it also gets me my deals in corporations as well. Because when they look through my feed, because a lot of these people realize, like, it's unfortunate, but social media is a big journal. It's just a big public journal. That's all it is. All it is.
Yeah, and there's the guys who like are trying to get on front page and all that, with the Lamborghinis and all that. And then there's the people, chilling on page 13. Hey, this is me, Yeah.
And the more that you are just, this is me, that page 13 is going to be the most read pages in the world.
Definitely.
I always tell people, you can be the most quietest man, women, gender, whatever of your choice is in the room. You can be the quietest person in the room and yet make the biggest impact in the room. Do you mind if I give you an example?
Sure. That's why you're here, right?
I went to an event, and at this event, I knew I was not going to show up because of some of the integrity issues that obviously you guys are picking up on. I'm very high in. And because of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to gift my ticket to somebody else. And since I gifted my ticket to somebody else, not only did I leave that particular event, I was the most talked about event person in the room, and I wasn't even there because of my app.
You didn't show up, or you left? Which one?
No, because I gave my ticket away. I gave my ticket to somebody else.
Okay, makes sense.
But because the way I gifted my ticket and the way that comes in, it was very impactful. So a lot more people were like, wow, she gifted her ticket to X, Y, Z. And not only did I leave with high integrity, and I was very honest with them with why, but yet I was still one of the most powerful people in the room, because now I not only said what I had to say in a very polite way, I gifted my ticket to somebody else who can benefit from it. And I walked away with people realizing that, hey, you know what? Even though I wasn't even in the room, my name got brought up more times than would have me being in the room.
Yeah. Ties back to what you said about you can be like the loudest person without making any noise. Yeah.
And those are the types that I tell people, like, when you start becoming flashy, when you start comes in the greed, the money, the power, all the sex, the drugs, whatever it is that comes through with you, that's not always the cleanest way. And the people who are quiet and subdued and comes in and they're just like, I know so many people that are the quietest people and they're multimillionaires in less than 6 months. Why? Because they know exactly what they want. And again, goes back to the relationships. They're not going to let anyone just take it away. They have their glasses on and they know they just know what they want and where they're going.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes us like that. It's like we've come full circle back to the, glasses and the relationship thing. And I think that's amazing. Let me ask you this one thing before we, kind of bring this to an end. What is one thing that, you wished I asked you on this podcast, Dina?
I don't honestly ask for a wish, because you asked exactly what you're supposed to ask, and it was the way it's supposed to be. And if I were to ask for something or wish for something, then I had an expectation out of this podcast, and I don't.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Let me phrase that question in a different way. No, let me even ask a different question.
Sure.
If you had a magic wand, how would your life look right now?
Okay. I'm living in my magic wand. My life right now is perfect the way it's supposed to be, because it's imperfect. So I wouldn't change it for the world. And I think that's what it comes down to, is that in my reality is who I am, and I wouldn't change anything of it, because this is the gratitude piece that I work on so much, that I'm in such gratitude with where my life is, that my wand is me.
I think that's amazing, and I think there's no better way to answer that question. But this has been amazing. Where can the people go to find out and learn more about your work?
You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Bina Bendale, or Nurse Coach Bina Bendale. Find me on Instagram, Nurse Coach Bina. You can find me on Facebook, Bina Bendale. I think my name's plastered everywhere at this point. And also at BinaNurseCoach.com. Yeah,
so Bina Bendale, that is BinaBendale, Bina Bendale, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's been great having you on, Bina, for the second time. It's a shame we didn't get the kids to come on and say hi.
Well, I hear them. I do. I hear them. My husband's downstairs right now, keeping them down.
That's great. That's great.
As long as you can, but we'll see how long that takes.
We'll see how long that takes. That's amazing. It's been great having you on, Bina. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really hope you enjoyed this podcast. I want you to go away and execute everything there is that you've learned. Now, one thing I will say is, if you're in a position where you're ready to actually take things to another level, you want structured, clear guidance, you want a team that can actually help accelerate you, book in a chat with our advisors. Why? We can blow up your personal brand to attract clients begging to work with you. All you got to do is book in a chat with our advisors, and we can help make it happen. Sound fair enough?